Welcome back to In Your Neighborhood. I'm your host, Sharla Brown, and on today's show, we've been talking with the Lakehead Social Planning Council. My guest now is Bonnie Krysowaty. She's the social researcher and planner over at the Lakehead Social Planning Council. Welcome to the show, Bonnie.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
So tell me a little bit about your job and position at the Lakehead Social Planning Council.
Sure. So I'm the social researcher, and part of that job is coordinating the poverty reduction strategy for the City of Thunder Bay. I also monitor the homelessness partnering strategy money that comes from Service Canada. Mm-hmm. So there's some funded agencies that I monitor and make sure everything's going okay with them. And a lot of my work is collaboration with other agencies and organizations, working really closely with the Thunder Bay Drug Strategy, Thunder Bay Indigenous Friendship Center. We've partnered with NAN, with DELICO, with ONWA, the Crime Prevention Council. We align a lot of our recommendations with the city's strategic plan. So we have many, many partnerships. I mean, it would just take too long to name them all, of course, but those are some of them.
Yeah, well, poverty is a huge issue in our city, so it can't be done by one organization. It's great that there is a lot of organizations that's working together towards this.
Definitely.
So can you tell me a little bit about what the poverty reduction strategy does?
Sure. So there are 4 pillars to the poverty reduction strategy. We have a housing pillar, and the Thunder Bay Housing and Homelessness Coalition Advisory Board acts as the housing pillar for the poverty reduction strategy. That's an extremely robust committee that meets monthly, except during the summer months, and service providers and organizational leads from many different places that offer housing opportunities and different assistance for people that need housing meet together and talk about advocacy that can be done, actions that can be done. The Thunder Bay Drug Strategy also utilizes that group as their housing pillar as well. Mm-hmm. And then we have an income and community economic development pillar, which really focuses on the economic development in Thunder Bay, things like the living wage, the basic income, the 15 in Fairness campaign, et cetera. And then we also have an infrastructure pillar which focuses on food security, transportation, walkability, and things like that. And we work with the health unit a lot for some of our endeavors with that. We've also partnered with United Way for some endeavors as well. And then we have a 4th pillar for inclusion and engagement. And we partner a lot with the City of Thunder Bay and as well as the Crime Prevention Council to encourage inclusivity in the city and also support a welcoming community, enhance educational opportunities and things like that. And we really, we're now trying to restructure our poverty reduction strategy. Our first 3-year plan will expire at the end of this year, so we're updating right now. So we'll be partnering with many different organizations to see that happening.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and those are all big things. You are a busy lady.
Yeah, the poverty reduction strategy takes on a lot, definitely.
Mm-hmm. And I'm curious as to how you gather the data for the poverty reduction strategy.
Sure, so Marie previously mentioned the Community Volunteer Income Tax Program. Last year we did more than about 6,000 income tax returns in Thunder Bay. And so when you look at the data from the income tax program, we have about 100,000 people approximately in Thunder Bay, 105,000, and about 15% of those people are living below the low income measure, so actually earning less than $20,000 a year. And we get data from about 5,000 or 6,000 of those people, so we have really robust statistics from our anonymous community volunteer income tax program. We also use statistics from Statistics Canada, so very happy to see the new rules and regulations with collecting data through Statistics Canada. And we use TaxFiler, and we also rely on other organizations and other community projects and social research projects, harm reduction research that's going on in the community to gather statistics as well.
Right. Once you gather all that information and you're putting together this strategy, like what are some of the things that are the outcomes, or what are the goals behind putting this together?
Sure. So in our action plan, for example, one of the things that we're working on right now is our living wage campaign. And that's a campaign whereby we gather employers together. There's an employer recognition program. There's different levels that they can meet. And the idea is to pay people a living wage that was actually calculated by the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives and supported by the Ontario Living Wage Network. It's a peer-reviewed process, and it's done by economists. And what it does is it, in detail, figures out how much a person needs to live in our city, specifically in Thunder Bay, with a regular lifestyle, which means that they would be able to afford to pay all of their bills, maybe have a week at camp once a year, be able to, take the kids to a movie now and then, go out for dinner once in a while, and possibly go back to school and upgrade their education, be able to afford maybe a vehicle or at least a bus pass to get around the city. So we're promoting those kinds of endeavors right now.
Right. And do you have that kind of information, or is that something that you're working on right now?
Sure. So we're working on it right now, and we're hopefully going to be rolling that out this fall.
Yeah.
Living wage is fairly new in Ontario. The calculation has only been around for Ontario for about a couple of years. We're trying to partner with many other cities across Ontario as well to get support and use some of their toolkits to help us roll out the program. We already have a lot of employers that are really keen.
Right, because it's true, the cost of living goes up rapidly. Lots of times it doesn't match what necessarily the living wage or what minimum wage is for families to keep up. It's just getting further and further behind, I guess.
Definitely.
So I'd also like to ask about, you do a point-in-time count. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So we did our first point-in-time count in January 2016, and that was an endeavor supported by Service Canada. We partnered with, it was led by LSPC as well as the Thunder Bay Indigenous Friendship Centre. We partnered with the City of Thunder Bay, this Thunder Bay Drug Strategy. And we had many partnering organizations like Kinaway Legal Clinic and Shelter House and so many more that I'm unable to mention, unfortunately, right now. But we did have a lot of community partners. Over 100 volunteers from the community too. And what we do is we actually take a 24-hour period and we enumerate all of the homeless people in Thunder Bay as best we can, which means actually doing a head count of every homeless person in the city. And that could be people that are staying at Shelter House, people that are living outside, or possibly people couch surfing. I mean, if you come to school from another city and you're going to, say, Confederation College, but you're staying on grandma's sofa, you're actually homeless. You're not considered housed unless you change your address and move in with grandma. We found in our first point in time count that most of the people we counted were actually couch surfing, and we were quite surprised. We counted 289 homeless people in Thunder Bay. But we also enumerated another 200 through hospital, through jail, and places where people with no fixed address may have been that night that we weren't able to count. So we're looking at 500 people, and just to put that in perspective, Winnipeg, with a population of about 700,000, counted 1,300 people.
Wow.
So it's quite an epidemic in Thunder Bay. We are planning another point-in-time count. We're partnering with the local DSAB again, the Indigenous Friendship Centre, the Thunder Bay Drug Strategy, and other partnering agencies, of course, and we will be doing that in spring 2018. I believe the month is April. So we'll be repeating the enumeration again now that we've got a baseline.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we need to take another quick break, but we're going to be right back, and we're going to talk more with the Lakehead Social Planning Council.